Welcome back to the show. We were discussing matters of women today, and as usual, we are with Mariam Sheikh. We have been with her throughout the interview, and Stephanie Zhu. And Mariam, before we went for break, we have also seen how women are struggling, to come on their, to join the mainstream world and be part of the contribution to the country. But we have seen a situation where of late, the same sort of women are also saying like, we can do better than men in all the evils that men sometimes do. What is your take? Because we have seen the little corruption that happened, the corruption that's happening so far, the big scandals that are right now happening, NYS. If you look at the characters that are being mentioned, the Naivasha family, the PAs, the previous people who were mentioned in the scandal, they're trying to be women nowadays. Are they competing with the men to be also in part of like, if men can do, we can also do, sort of?
Well, I think whoever does corruption is an ill, it's theft, it's wrong. Whoever does it, I don't think it's less of an evil or more of an evil if it's done by either gender. But I think, yes, the same thing I was questioning, because even if you leave the scandal, you look at the front pages, there was this girl, they were saying Kafura too, and so yes, they put the face of a woman. And then in the same day or a day or two after, a woman was found receiving bribe, 2,500, yes, and she lands heavy. She's jailed, and 15 years. A man defiles a girl of 13 years, is sent scot-free because the judge says the girl enjoyed. A woman also exploits a 14-year boy. And she is, you see, so the thing I was wondering is, are women actually getting punished for getting into men's crime zone or crime territory? But at the end of the day, whoever does it, whether young, old, because it's across board. What we are seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. I don't think many people are immune. There's so many people, even young people, involved. So corruption is a crime. Corruption is theft. We just need to call it that name, and whoever does it is a thief.
Stephanie, you have talked of organizing conferences for women, but what particularly do you guys talk about, especially, and which part of this country do you do your?
Yeah, so just to be clear, it's not just conferences and trainings for women, it's for both men and women, because so much of the conversation around female empowerment is so antagonizing towards men, right? Even if men want to get involved, which we need them to be involved in order to change the status quo, right? One of the most important things, right, even in the language that we say, power is allowed, rights are given, and that shows the discrepancy between the power that men have and what they're allowing or giving to women to have, right? And until women are able to own that power rather than leasing it from men, the change towards gender equality will be slow and tenuous. A lot of we do a lot of training with startups, corporates in Nairobi in particular. We do trainings for girls in Kibera, and then we also do quite a few trainings all over the rest of the continent, so Ethiopia, Nigeria, and South Africa as well. And it's really interesting because obviously these are very, very different cultures, very different backgrounds, but then the same kind of problems with communication, with power dynamics, with boundary setting, with culture, with race, with socioeconomic status, all these themes come up over and over again, despite how different or similar cultures are.
Mariam, you have been in this struggle of women empowerment for long. Right now, there's this two-third discussion going on all over the country. That's why they were in Wajir the other day. And women and some men are saying, we don't need positions like women representative in parliament. Should be scrapped. And what is your take on the whole discussion of? Do you think guys are coming after the little they gave you, or do you think some positions have lost meaning even though they were created to empower women?
I think when the two-thirds, the article of the two-thirds was actually put in place, it was really to curb the whole, because you see the different cultures are also manifested in policy, they're manifested in appointments, and who are in the public sphere, who are actually holding positions. And so for every position, that was actually to curtail, so that if CSs are being appointed, you don't give men more than two-thirds. or women more than 2/3. But how we have actually interpreted is men always are 2/3, women are 1/3.
Yes.
That's how, first of all, we interpreted. But even that 1/3 is not adhered to. We don't get it. We don't actually get it.
And now they're taking views on how it should
Yeah,
be, whether it should be expanded or
yeah,
implemented.
and so the whole issue, you see, the whole discourse, it's not just on women. Because women and young people have always been absent from decision making, from positions of power and positions of influence. And the same thing will be questioned. Like they'll say, look at the members of county assemblies. They are mostly young men who are elected. But what are they doing? They're actually getting into the spree of stealing and all this. They're not coming up with any credible, like legislation or policy at county level. They're not domesticating the national, policy framework. So why give, so the same excuse will be given to women also. They'll put at the women reps. And of course, let me tell you, they're a big letdown. The women reps have been a big letdown the last 5 years, the ones that are currently there, because the whole agenda was actually to make community get used to electing women in, and once women are elected in, so that we have feeling hearts and feeling minds in parliament, because that has always missed. You can have the best constitution, but if it doesn't have a feeling heart and a feeling mind to pursue it, it will just be on paper. So women were meant to unite. They were meant to negotiate, because women are very good in negotiating, in liaising, in cooperating with others, so that they're able to push agendas for women in parliament. Unfortunately, they have decided they're going to be flower girls. They have decided they're going to be just the mouthpieces for certain political figures who are men, or certain parties, which is unfortunate. But we don't want that to be that's the card. They cannot be the card. Yes, we might be sending wrong women to parliament, but we will get there. So we still want to struggle for that position. We don't want that to be taken away from us, and we want to get away from this definition that 1/3 is always women.
Talking of sending wrong women to parliament, there's an analogy whereby, there are many stones and then there's one gem, yeah? And then people sometimes, in trying to get, the kind of woman that should represent them, they pick the stones and not the gem. You have been a candidate in the last election for the same position that women, especially the position of women representative in parliament.
Yes.
Some consider you the gem that others never picked.
Thank you.
Yeah. What makes you say that sometimes people end up sending the wrong women to parliament? What even women are the majority in this country, and they're also the majority in and the places we come from. Why are they always lamenting having the wrong people? Why can they elect themselves the best they can?
And you see, that has been the age-old fallacy.
Yes.
That women are majority, they should be able to elect their own. Fine, they are majority. But what other invisible chains are there? How has this woman been brought up? She has been brought up knowing a leader is always a man. Who is in control? Let me tell you, I ran for office in the last election. What men did not do for that position is run for it literally. But otherwise, their influence, their money, their clans, their political parties, everything was in there. They had their hands right into that pot. And they picked whoever they picked for their own personal interests. Yeah? But women, just like if we turned to young people, again, look, for example, Garissa, there was a young senator who was running. Superb kid, who I would say who would have been the best senator. Young people are majority voters also. Why didn't they vote for him? You see, it's the same chains. So this is a societal thing. We are all in this invisible chain. So it's not a matter of women waking up one day and electing one of their own, because this woman has been brought up knowing it's always a man. Men still make decisions for the women, because they go back to their household and they tell the women folk, their wives, their daughters, and everybody, this is the person we are voting for. There is clanism in back at home, clanism, sub-clanism, family issues that come to play. So all these ladders, it's so layered. So it's not easy to really go through those layers, unless of course you are in the right outfit. The right kind of men have their own interest on you, and they pick you up. So it's not easy. It's wasn't up to the women. It was up to the men who are in positions of influence.
The woman position.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that what you're touching upon is really important to note, right? Subconscious bias is so important in our decision making. So if I say the word president, the first image you have in your head is a man, right? And so unless we conscientiously act against our subconscious biases, right? When we go to the polls, when we, open mouth to have a conversation, when we look at a resume, right? Every single act that we do will be biased because of the way of what we see in media, of the music that we listen to, of what our parents or our societies tell us. And so it's actually a lot of effort, but you do have to be conscientious and purposefully think about what to do that is more inclusive or more equal to both men and women.
Look at the United States of America. 200 years ahead of us in everything. But are they able to elect a woman?
No.
So close!
Yeah.
Even
So close!
Now, you raise a very important point whereby you said even the youth, the young people also suffer, what also the women of this country go through, yet they are the majority. That's something you have said.
Yeah.
Right now, in the scandals that are happening in this country, it's mostly women and youth fund that are being embezzled. And not the money for the elderly. We are yet to hear the money for the elderly. We are yet to hear scandals touching other categories. What is being embezzled mostly are the money meant for the youth and the women. Yet they are the majority. Are you saying, is it safe to say they are not angry enough to talk about these things? Why are they just silent about it?
We're not angry enough across the board.
And I want you also to give me a general take on the whole thing.
Yeah, we're not angry enough. But then the thing is this, I wouldn't even say it is, I'm here actually to put my hands on why, on why, for example, NYS, because within the same ministry that NYS is, there are very many other credible, I would say, very, very good, great departments that would really have benefited. For example, the anti-FGM board is within that same ministry. But what does it get? It doesn't even get 100 million. It's not even funded, but 25 billion was taken to this. So even right from the beginning, there was, I think, an agenda to really like have this in that pot for easy exit. So, but of course, I'm hoping to see what financial analysts will be able to tell us why is it that this particular the section was funded that much. But women and youth in this country, yes, are not angry enough. We are not angry enough. We are not yet there to really demand for our space, for our rights, for our positions, for our money and for our everything. How many people even consider that money to be theirs? There's this thing of Malia Uma. People think that money is the government's money. People forget that this money is ours, it's from our taxes. This money was meant to do certain services for us, so if it is embezzled, we lack those services. And thirdly, that this money, especially if it was donor fund, if it was, if it was taken, if it was a debt, then we'll have to repay. Again, it will be on us. And many people don't actually appreciate how we are going to pay for that money. Little, small, flimsy licenses here and there, taxation up, and every service, things will be changed every now and then just so that extra money is made on us. So unless we wake up, our government has decided it's going to make money on us. So we are the cash cow. So we just need to wake up.
So are you saying we should allowed to be milked forever?
No, we don't want to be allowed. We don't want to be milked forever.
Now, Stephen.
Well, sorry, just really quickly. The anger is one thing, but also having a voice is another, right? Having a voice is a privilege. If you walk into a home, the father will ask the little boy what he thinks, but not what the little girl thinks, right? And so when you get older and you have opinions and you feel a certain way, you don't know that you're supposed to speak up. You don't know that you're allowed to be vocal and to share those opinions. So having a voice is a privilege that maybe, women and youth do not feel like they have yet, right?
Okay, we're almost, and time is not going to allow us, but I want us to conclude. What has been your experience working with women in Kenya? And what do you think should be changed?
I think it's been a really diverse experience like any other place, right? Doing corporate training in a tech startup versus doing a training in Kibera is very different. And I think women are getting to the point where they're ready to, in Kenya, I think Kenyan women have really, really strong hearts. And they just need to be able to leverage it and use that energy and that power in the right way, right? I'm so inspired by the women I'm around constantly, but it's about how you channel that correctly in order to get to a place where you do feel like there is gender equality.
Okay, Mariam. And what are you up to right now? And give us your final part on women, especially in the pastoralist community.
Yeah, I think, Ahmed, women in the pastoralist communities are not homogeneous, just like very many other women. There are age differences. There is differences of culture, for example, because pastoralists cut across the northern Kenya, for example, and there are different communities. And because of those different cultures, there are different norms and you know, like, that actually face them, and they have their own different spaces. And that's what I say, those spaces, if they were empowered enough within those spaces, their contribution would be felt more. Pastoralist women need information around environmental issues, for example, because they're the people who deal with environment issues. Pastoralist women need to be given opportunities to have value addition to either their hides or their, you know, like the artifacts they make, or the milk or the ghee or this and that, so that they're able to benefit. But we all know pastoralism has always been given, has been handed a raw deal in this country, and it's been part of it's been a system that has been marginalized, so to speak, that wasn't given a voice even in policy till, I think, after 2008 is when we began seeing even at AU level a focus on pastoralism.
What is your last word for the northern girl as you face your camera?
But yeah, basically I think it's for each one of us to reclaim their space. We just have to wake up and reclaim our space. Nobody's going to hand it over to us.
Thank you, Mariam Sheikh. Thank you, Stephanie, for your time. It was an interesting discussion, and we'll call you back once again so that we can deliberate this further. That marks the end of our show today, and till next Friday, I wish you all the best and Ramadan Kareem.